Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to just go ahead and introduce yourself, name, pronouns, and any other identities that you would like to share.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Danny. Um, my pronouns, I use basically any pronouns. I'm fine with whatever. So I'm also a artist and illustrator. And today I'm going to show folks how to make digital zines. So basically, like, I always feel a lot of pressure when I'm like trying to create, make something worth having a physical copy of. But what I've really found is that, like, when making digital art, a lot of that pressure is just completely gone. So this is a really, like, fun and accessible way to get into zine making and be able to start, like, printing things if you want, but also just, messing around and having fun in a low stakes environment.
Yeah, we just walked through it. We're going to walk everyone, all of you viewers through it, and you can follow along. It's a free download for this program, and we hope that you actually share some of your creations with us afterwards, and we can't wait to see what you make. So go ahead and show them how to use this awesome program.
Yeah, definitely. So this is Electric Zine Maker, specifically the download page for it. It's on itch.io. So basically, to find it, just search Electric Zine Maker in Google, and it should be the first result. And so to download it, you just click download. It is a free download, but if you want to support the developer, you can leave a donation. But for like this purpose, we're just gonna go to the downloads page. So there's a couple different versions here. Just pick the one that works best for your computer. I'm personally using the Windows 12 version. So basically, once you download this, this will be a zip file, and then you just extract it, and there should be an executive file to launch the program. So I'm going to launch the program. I have a desktop shortcut to make it easier. And then so when you boot it up, it's just going to load. It might take a little while, depending on how fast your computer is. But yeah, this is the program. So here, you can choose your zine template. Today we're going to make an 8-page folded zine. That's kind of like the standard one and pretty easy to fold, especially for beginners if you're going to be printing this out. And if you're not, it still has, a nice simple format to make a digital zine out of. And then if you click the potato, it tells you fun facts and encouragement.
I also just
So,
wanted to
like,
say if anyone is confused about the extracting and all of that on Windows, my computer actually told me how to. I was wondering why the program wouldn't load. So if anyone's having that similar issue, it'll tell you. It should tell you at least if you're on Windows that it needs to be extracted before you run it. And so if you can't figure that out or you don't have computer literacy in that way, like me, then it'll just tell you how to do that. And it's really simple. You just press a button and it extracts it for you. And then you just like open it and it works. So there you go.
yeah, definitely. So, this is the zine template page. So basically, you can, name your zine. So today we'll just call this one junk drawer. And then this is where it'll be saved. What's nice is that the potato also tells you how to use the program more precisely than I am. Uh, so you can just read what the potato says and it'll guide you through it. Just briefly as well, there is an accessibility function up at the top. I have mine set to dark mode, but it naturally goes in light mode. So to toggle dark mode, you just click the night sky button and it'll be a slightly darker variant for folks who are photosensitive. Although this may not be the best program if you're extremely photosensitive. Um, Additionally, there's options to print the zine and export it both as a PDF or image. These are predominantly used for digital zines, but also if you want to say move what you've created on here into a different program. And you can toggle to include fold lines for when you print it. And there are videos that show step-by-step on how to fold each template, which is extremely helpful. So basically, to get started actually creating your zine, you can click any one of these pages. It's important to keep in mind that they are out of order, like based on what you see on your screen. So it starts front, back, page 5, page 4. So it kind of jumps around. So be sure to click on, whichever page you want to, but I like to go in order. So we'll be starting with the front page. So now we're actually in the drawing program / graphics editor. So what I like to do is I like to start with importing an image. I just feel like it gets rid of this like white canvas and provides like a nice foundation for me to start on. For me, I'm going to be using, some old images I've drawn. Some are from this, kind of messy sketchbook I keep. So I'm just going to import one of those now. You can also import like small graphics and import to fill for like larger graphics that you want as your background. It's also important to keep in mind there's no layers in this program. So you can't really move things around once they're on the page and you've confirmed it. Things just kind of like layer on top of each other, kind of like regular, traditional drawing. So I'm going to import this image of a bunch of apples I did. And I'm not going to mess with it. You can kind of like change how it's skewed and everything. And then there's like buttons to like center it and make sure it's like nice and even. But I'm just going to hit done because that's all I'm going to do right now. So there's many different brushes as well. Think of like kind of Microsoft Paint S brushes are like the majority of them, but there's also some like really interesting and like in many ways like kind of powerful brushes given like what this program is. So there's color fill and spray, which is very much like the Microsoft Paint spray paint, which I think is nice and adds kind of like a nice grain texture. And you can undo or redo anything by clicking these little clock buttons. Color selection is also in this field of color, kind of in the middle here. And you can also toggle grayscale if you want to, have that more traditional like photocopier aesthetic or color. Let me think. So what is really interesting about this program specifically is the ability to layer images onto each other, kind of similar to like photocopiers and different transparency effects, but digitally. So for this, I also created some, different like patterns and stuff on Procreate on my iPad and then sent them over to my computer. So I'll be picking, some different textures that I used. And this is very similar to layer modes on Photoshop for folks who've used that. And so you can just like, mess around, see what different ones you like. I'm not going to get too sophisticated right now, so I'm just going to, do subtract. I think that adds like a nice, interesting texture to it. So likewise, there's also this, I guess, I'm not even sure what to call these. They're not brushes, I guess filters, but it's called Color Factory. And this completely shuffles the color palette of your image that you've created so far. And honestly, like, I just like to hit random until I find one that I really enjoy and that I think I can work with. Again, this is all like super low stakes. So just like finding something that, you think looks interesting, that you think can be like a springboard into, like your creative process is like what I like to look for. You can also like manually edit each value. I don't do that often, but you can definitely create some really interesting color combinations and have a little bit more control. But I'm going to go with this one because I like it. Likewise, there's also some special filters at the bottom that add, again, like really interesting textures. So this one, converts it to text symbols. And then if you don't like it, you just hit cancel. But if you want to apply it, you hit apply. And so it's really, low stakes. You can always undo it. You can, see what you like, see what you don't like. And yeah, it's just really interesting and fun to play around with. I really recommend, once I'm done showing the basics, we'll have time, just to chat and like create our own zines on the program. And I really encourage everyone to, go through each brush, see which ones you like, which ones, cause really interesting effects because they're all so different and unique. And not really anything, and some are not really anything I've seen on any other program. So just real quick, another brush that I personally like and use a lot is this goldfish brush. And I don't know, I just think it's really cute. And you just click and drag and it adds ripples. And this is like one of the brushes that I haven't seen anything like it personally in any other digital art program. So just real quick to finish off this kind of like cover page, we can add text. So I'm going to add the text, the title of the page, or the title of the zine. So it's going to be Junk Drawer because it's from my kind of junky sketchbook. And then whatever font you have downloaded to your computer, you can use. Honestly, like I found that itch.io, which is the website that the download is hosted on, has also a lot of really cool, free to use fonts as well. So yeah, let's see. Let's go with. Unfortunately, you can't search it. You just kind of have to scroll until you find one you like. So I'm gonna try not to take too long, especially since I've got a ton more pages to do. Let's see. Let's do this one. And then so you can just adjust the size by typing it or typing the value you want. And then you can change the alignment of the text too. So I'm just going to put it roughly in the center. And then to confirm, you just press done. And then if you want to say like add a second text box, you have to confirm and then add another one. So this one will say by Danny right there. So yeah, that's basically it. Again, I really encourage, folks to go through the program and just manually find and like discover different features. But to save this page, you can also like export the panel. But to save it to your template, you just click the Save and Return to Menu button. And so that's basically it. Basically, you can go through and fill out each page and work on them and until you have like your finished digital zine, whatever finish means to you in that moment. And then you can either export it as a PDF, or if you really like what you've made and you want to try printing it, you can print it and follow the folding instructions. And this is a standard 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Sorry to people who use A4 or A5. But yeah, that's basically it.
I love this. I've just been playing around with it and all the different things while you were talking, and I'm having a lot of fun.
I
This is
know, it's
really
great. I
nice.
love it.
It's like nonstop. You can like continue to edit something like 100 times over. You could use the same
Mhm.
like background and make like 5,000 zines probably from it because it's just so
Definitely.
like you said, like some of the types of like brushes and things are ones that are not very common that you don't really see anywhere else. Um, I was playing around with the goldfish one and then the layering it up and down or like getting it to go up and down. So that was fun.
Definitely. The only thing like about this program that I find a little bit difficult is if you want kind of consistency across all pages. You can only work on one page at a time, and there's no like color picker, so you kind of like manually have to keep track of that.
That's true.
But yeah, that's just like a note that I have. But it's still like super cool, and honestly, like I love working with this program. I've made like most of like my digital zines on it. Yeah.
That's great. All right. So for everyone watching, hopefully by now you've been able to get it set up if you're going to. And if not, you're also welcome to just grab a pencil and some paper and follow along that way. I know some people don't have the capability, or they might be watching this on their phone and they won't be able to download this. But you can still follow along using traditional materials, and there are tons of things online where you can use to see like how to fold them afterwards. You can also create these on something like Canva if you want, and just be sure to fold them or look up how to fold them so that you can get the um, kind of like the rectangles in the right spot. I've made them on Canva before, and that worked out completely fine. Um, so yeah, just play around and enjoy. We're just gonna talk and make some zines. So, I wonder for people who maybe haven't done a zine before, um, do you want to give kind of like an overview on like the purpose of zine making and how it's usually used?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess, well, there's many different purposes for zine making. Like the purpose is kind of like whatever you want to make of it. But essentially, zines are a, small circulation, independent, published print materials is how I most concisely like describe them. So many people use them, either personally as like diaries, just like to put their thoughts out into the world, or they're also very commonly used in like punk and other music scenes to like document those kinds of like scenes and events. And then additionally, they're also used in different activist communities, which is where I've seen them the most used. And they can really be used to help spread information in a really accessible way, especially now with the internet. Zines can not only be printed and distributed physically, but they can also be uploaded and distributed via the internet, but then also re-downloaded by someone miles away, and then printed and distributed again physically. So zines and zine making create really interesting and nuanced networks that currently transcend like physicality and digital spaces. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that's a great intro. I really love that it's they're very centered in activism. That's how I've mostly seen them, at least, usually from um, queer or social justice activism standpoints is how I've seen a lot of them. But I've also seen them used as kind of like a personal practice on like as like almost like a self therapy. Um,
Mhm.
and it can be guided by a therapist as well, for sure, but just a way to kind of be in touch with your own emotions and your own goals. I did a zine making workshop earlier this year for Lunar New Year in Chinatown, and it was kind of on setting intentions for the year, which was really fun. I really enjoyed like that prompt. For anyone who hasn't done this before, I wonder if we could kind of give them a prompt to work with like that one. Um, Perhaps it is setting intentions for the year. It's never too late to to set new intentions. I mean, it's only April. It's not like it's November or something. Even in
Yeah,
November, you
definitely.
could set intentions for the rest of the year. But yeah, so a couple of different prompts that we could give is intentions. Something like maybe how you want to express your gender, or maybe the abstraction of gender. I think that would be a cool one to see someone do.
Yeah, definitely.
How what shape is your gender? Like, is it a star? Is it a triangle? What sound is your gender? You could put even like the like a song title list or something of like what relates to your gender. Um, yeah, something like that. I'm a huge fan of abstract art myself, and I think that'd be really cool to see someone like artifying their gender in an abstract way. Whoa, that's a really cool brush. What did you just use?
Oh, it's the soft brush. It's got this
Soft brush.
little chicken emoji on it.
I love that. Most soft brushes are like
Load
consistent,
image as
and I like that that
vintage.
one isn't.
Yeah,
That one's almost like a like smoke. That's so
interesting.
cool. That
Yeah,
one's
like
really
I've
cool
used
too.
this
All these
application a
textures.
lot and just like there's always like new things to discover about it. It's really cool.
That is really cool. I love that. Another thing I really love about zine making is how much like collage it is and how collage like intersects with it in a lot of ways. As a
Mhm.
collage artist myself, that is like my primary medium, and this right here just looks like collage to me, and I'm just loving the heck out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Super
I feel like this program specifically and like especially when compared to things like Canva, although you can definitely do it with Canva too, is it really blends like new technologies and new photo editing capabilities with what it feels like to make zines the traditional way with like
yeah,
photocopier and printer and collage.
I love it. I think it's so fun. I'm still playing with my front page. I've decided to go with like a water theme specifically because of that goldfish brush that you showed me that I thought was really cool. Mhm. I'm playing with all like shades of blue. Can't decide on a font that I like though. None of these fonts are like bold enough. What got you into zine making?
That's a good question. I honestly don't remember. I
And
think
that's completely fine too.
yeah. I know like I discovered uh zines like personally in like college and the community surrounding them. Um,
Mm,
but I think like kind of my first introduction was in an art history class. We went to go see a collection of mail art. Um, and mail art is like kind of like a wide, complicated genre of art. Um, but I remember someone in my class, you know, kind of like asked about zines and how they related to mail art. Um, and I don't remember the conversations super vividly, but I remember being like, I should check this out. And then, you know, Googled it and there's like just a whole new world opened up to me basically. Um, and now I'm going to do research on it. And to be clear, like I'm not the most like prolific zine maker. Um, I've only made like a pretty small handful in my life, but I feel like that's another reason why like zines and the zine community are so cool because it doesn't matter like how many you make or how many you've read, just as long as you're like active and always like willing to learn more and talk to new people and learn new ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think my first scene, I kind of saw them and was like, oh, that's cool. I want to try that. A couple of years ago, probably in 20, probably like 2021, maybe. It's like after COVID for sure. I started seeing them and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll, mess around with that. Yeah, I don't really know if that'll go anywhere. And honestly, to this day, I've only made two zines in like the 3 years I've really known about them. So I don't really make them that often. But the first one I made, actually, now that I think about it, I think that one was also ocean themed. But I used it as kind of a way to process like grief and emotions, which was really nice. Um, it has all sorts of like little sea motifs in there. So like there's a stingray and I think some sand dollars. I don't even remember what it's called. It was too long ago. But the other one I did was the one I just mentioned like earlier this year that at the workshop. That was really fun and made me think like we should do that more. And with everything um, happening with Palestine right now, I have seen so many zine making workshops for Palestine, which
Mhm.
I think is really cool and so excited to see those. I truly believe in art as a really great form of resistance and activism and protest, and seeing that is just really cool. It's like lino cuts, like lino prints. Those are also very commonly used in like activism. Um, Yeah, it's really interesting to see how some formats are more commonly used in those things. I wonder if it's like more of accessibility or um, like I think it could also be that these mediums are not seen as elitist forms of art or like
Mhm.
fine art, and so it's not only more accessible, but it's also easier for someone to see, like feel like they can do it. Whereas if you do something like sculpture, or painting, or any of those more considered as fine arts, it can be difficult for people to get into them because they're like, oh, I can't do that. I can't create these masterpieces. And you can, just a side note, you can make those. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's more accessibility or something else?
Yeah, you know, I think it's important to acknowledge that historically zines were, they first started being created because of their accessibility. Um, you know, what's really wonderful about them is you don't need much, fancy equipment to make them. And folks, when they first started out, like they wanted, to be able to like hear and see their own voice represented in, publishing and like physical, tangible objects to be distributed, while also not, investing in like a letterpress or book binding equipment, things like that. And so, just by using, like a photocopier, printer, ink, sometimes at the library, sometimes, in their house, they're able to make these really cool publications that really represent themselves and their communities. So I think it's like a combination of things, but I definitely think accessibility is like a big part of like why zines are so popular, especially in activist communities.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're completely right there.
Like one thing I just love about art, I can't remember if I mentioned this already or not, but I work both in digital and traditional media. And a lot of the programs that I work with for digital media, like Procreate, like Photoshop, I feel like I'm missing a lot of that really like tactile feeling that I get from traditional media.
Mm,
And even though digital media in many cases is like more convenient and often cheaper, more accessible, I really miss like how different textures, different brushes work in and different mediums work when working with traditional media. But I feel like specifically, this program, Electric Zine Maker, right, kind of bridges those two things, and in a way that is very unique. And that's further kind of emphasized by how like you can upload it, online as a digital zine, but there's also, like ample ways for you to like print it out and fold it and distribute it that way. And so there's kind of like this dual nature to it, I guess, where it's just like there's the digital and that's super cool, and then there's also the traditional and physical, which is super cool, and they're not in opposition to each other.
Yeah. I'm sorry if anyone could hear that. I don't know if it went just through my headphones or not, but I just clicked the scream into the void tool and I didn't know it was actually going to scream at me.
I know, like, I keep wanting to use it because I'm like, what does this one do again? But I just remember, like, I'm like, I think that one actually does scream, so I better not click
It
it.
does. It screams at you, and that was very shocking.
Yeah.
But it was kind of funny too. I was like, oh, okay. If it's not like the worst scream ever, though. It's not like a child in a library screaming. It's kind of like it's kind of just like a little bit screechy for a couple seconds, and it goes on maybe 2 or 3 seconds longer than it should. It's okay. It's not awful. It creates like this like square and triangle over everything.
Interesting.
Yeah. If anyone's curious and wants to do it, just know it's gonna scream at you. What is eggs? I'm just playing around with like the weirdest things right now. This isn't really anything.
I like the egg brush. I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, I see. Okay, I had to make it bigger because it was really small. Ooh, that's kind of futuristic, actually. I like it.
I like the square eggs. I was
Square
using that one
eggs.
earlier. Yeah. Then there's like chaos eggs, and
Around.
I don't know
Oh, I
what makes them different.
see.
Yeah. An
Chaos egg.
eggnog is also neat because it's like transparent.
Ooh. I actually do kind of like this. This will do something for what I'm doing. Good egg. What is the good egg? I need to change the color because I just realized I can't see it. I kind of like that. This is one of those like that I haven't seen anywhere else.
Definitely.
I'm really interested to see what other people make.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone be sure to like tag us in Instagram stories or whatever with your completed zine if you make one. I am so excited. I want to see everything that everyone makes. There's so many like neat little brushes in this.
Definitely.
Do you have a favorite brush that you like to use?
I really like the goldfish brush. Like, I feel like I use it too much. I use it on like every panel, basically.
I love that so far as well. But I'm actually kind of really digging the bacon right now. Bacon brush is kind of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there a zine maker that you really love and want to shout out?
Oh my god. So
Like, I don't know. I put you on the spot there. It's okay if you don't have one.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. So what happened is I made like an Instagram post that really blew up. Well, for my standards, blew up, right? Where I was asking folks like to introduce themselves in the comments if they were an LGBT zine maker. And so now I have like hundreds of people just floating around in my brain. And so I'm not sure like
Valid.
specifically who, you know.
Everyone, if you're looking for more zine makers to follow, just find that post and go through the comments. That's what I'm getting from this.
Yeah, if you want to see it, my Instagram is salmon bite, and that's spelled with a Y in the bite, like computer bite. And it's one of my like it should be like one of the top like 2 or 3 posts that I have currently. But there's like tons of really cool artists who are doing really, you know, cool and interesting work. Yeah. I think like I touched on this before, but for me, my zine making practice is really low stakes, right? Because
Yeah.
I also paint and draw and you know do different types of like traditional printmaking. And I feel like there's always kind of like this pressure, at least in my experience, to make something that's like worthy, right, of using the materials because you know they're so expensive or hard to get. Um, and so like for me, like whenever I'm like carving, say like a linoleum block print, I'm like, okay, it's got to be perfect, or else, you know, like why am I making this? You know. But with zines, you know, regardless if they exist physically or digitally, I'm so sorry, my cats are fighting. Guys, be nice. I'm so sorry. So we rescued. Oh my god. We rescued this kitten. So funny. So basically, like my in-laws, right? Like my partner's parents, they came to visit us, and for some reason we took them to a gay bar for drag brunch, which I don't know why we did that, and it was really awkward. But then after, we were just like hanging out outside, and I saw this like little gray kitten walking down the street. And I'm like, oh my god! And so I picked him up, right? And I'm like, okay, we got to help this guy. And we took him to the vet, and they were like, yeah, he's got every disease. He's got internal and external parasites. And so like he's been here like a couple weeks now, and so like he's like gotten so much healthier. And we introduced him to our other 2 cats, and they just love him. Sorry to go on a cat tangent. What was I
No,
saying
you're
before?
good.
Sorry, I don't think I answered your
I
question
forgot
fully, and then I
to.
forgot.
I forgot too because I was so invested in the cat story.
Yeah, I was like why I like zine making, and I was talking about like kind of like
Yes.
perfectionism. I don't know. I don't like to think about it as perfectionism because I'm like I don't think super highly of myself to be like, oh, my art's got to be perfect. But you know, like there's that pressure to not waste things, and that's something that I've kind of had to deal with, not just in my artistic practice, but in my personal life, especially like you know, like my mom's like a Korean immigrant, um, and my dad is from like a Chicano family. And so our big things are, you know, not to waste food, not to waste resources, not to waste money. Um, and I can't help but feel like, you know, when I make art, that sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm throwing money and resources away. But and that's
Yeah.
something, you know, it's not true, and I got to work with it. And I feel like zines have been a way in which I've been working through that because it's so low stakes, right? It's either like digital or on a piece of computer paper or printer paper, and you know, it's just like folding and cutting and a very meditative kind of like brain dumping process.
I'm trying to figure out when you're in the color factory, how did you go through and randomize the colors? Because when I click shuffle, it only does shuffle in pixelation.
Oh, let me 1 second. Let me pull it up. Where is it? Yeah. So there's like different ones, but I go to
Mm-hmm.
color transform settings,
Mm-hmm.
and then you click like it set like it's not really a button,
Oh.
it just says random.
Oh, okay. I probably just wasn't paying attention.
No, it's totally okay. Yeah, it's not like a button,
There
it's
we
like
go.
literally just text that
It's
says
just the
random.
word. Oh, it says
Mhm.
click here. Yeah, I just wasn't. Ooh, okay. I really like this color. Okay, I'm gonna keep that. Thank you. That was helpful. I have just been playing with the background so much that I actually haven't put any thought into where I'm going with this.
Yeah, same.
Like,
Honestly, like what I kind of like doing is just like making the background visuals and then
mhm,
kind of deciding. I feel like rarely
yeah,
do I go in with like I've got an idea.
yeah. You just kind of want to blended displays. You kind of just want to put something down and then figure out where it goes from there. Ooh, running ink is a nice one. That one's like Adobe level running ink. Um, very similar to watercolor, watercolor functions on other programs. I like it. My main, I guess, what I use for digital collage making is Adobe Fresco,
Oh, cool.
and
I've
that's a
never
really good
tried
program for
Adobe
that.
Fresco, but I've seen it before.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. It's more of like it's really about the layering capabilities that
Mhm.
I haven't found on any other program.
Oh,
Which I
cool.
mean, like Adobe does have good layering capabilities. It's just like, how do I describe it? There's one tool that I use. It's a masking tool specifically that I haven't. It could honestly be on literally every other program. I just haven't figured out how to use it on them. But
Mhm.
on Fresco, you like select an area to mask, and what I do is I select outside of the canvas, and then what it allows me to do is just draw in wherever I want to put that image.
Oh, cool.
I'm explaining it really badly, but maybe someone will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I upload an image to put in there. I mask it so that absolutely none of it shows on canvas. And then it essentially lets me use whatever brush I'm using, but it turns the image into the brush.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
I feel like I'm still explaining that really badly, but anyways, it is one of the coolest effects, and it's so much easier than going in and like erasing everything and cropping things and whatever. It works so well, and it helps things give like this like seamless blend with the rest of the image, especially in collage. Is like 10 out of 10. I love it. I never would have found it if I didn't get it for free in my school though.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's like my one issue with. Okay, maybe I have other issues with Adobe, but just the cost, I feel
Yeah, it's
makes it just so
pretty
difficult.
expensive.
Hmm. But I love free Adobe. I love it when people get Adobe for free.
Yeah, I will say I believe Fresco has a free version, which is pretty usable. I think it's just storage is the only thing you can't really have a lot of when you use it for free. But
Oh,
I mean, you can just use your actual device storage instead of that. So yeah, I could be completely wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that I used it on the free version before.
Okay, nice.
Worth trying out if anybody's curious. I really like this like motif that I got on one of my pages, but I don't like any of the rest of it. Maybe let's use color fill. Use some color around there. I do see what you mean about it being like copier style almost. Do you have a favorite zine that you've made?
Oops. Yeah, so I made this one. It's about Pokemon video games and gender. Um, and it's called Electronic Pocket Gender, kind of like a reference to Pocket Monsters. And I use graphics from Gen 1 through 4 of the Pokemon games. And so kind of a feature I guess they added was the ability to pick your gender, because in the first game you were just assumed to be male. And then in the later games, you could pick either, male or female, which is still not great. But at least it's not like an assumption that, you're a man playing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and then I kind of talk about how it's kind of how, for me, gender has always been, very complicated, as it is, I'm sure, for most people watching. But specifically how, in many ways, and this is just personally how I feel, that it's a lot easier when I don't have to think about it than when I do, right?
Yeah.
But we're constantly put into positions where we do have to think about it. Because for me, it's not so much it's not so much acknowledging what gender I am. It's acknowledging people's assumptions about me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And people do be assuming.
They be assuming.
They assume too much. I saw it's only slightly on topic. My ADHD brain related it for some reason. But I saw this image this morning and I shared it to our story for the org that said it was something about someone posted saying that if you're a man, how are you still drinking lemonade or something? And the person's like, well, I guess I'm non-binary then because this is just ridiculous. I think I shared it and was like, are the straights okay?
No, literally.
I hope this was fun for everyone watching. I know it was a little bit choppy here and there with both of us having some technological issues and noise background, but it was a really fun little art workshop, and I'm really glad that we got to do this together. And I'm going to be playing around with this zine making application every day for the next week, probably. It's very fun. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have anything that you would like to promote, and also let the viewers know where to find you again in case they want to check out more of your art or anything else?
Yeah, so I guess the main place to check out my art is at Salmon Bite on Instagram, and that's salmon SALMON, and then bite BYTE. Yeah, I think that's about it. If you're LGBT and you make zines, feel free to send me a DM. I'll take a look at your zines. Yeah, and then I think that's it.
There we go.
Oh,
That's on the
nice.
screen.
Yeah, that's me, Salmon Bite.
That's the app. All right.
I'm Salmon
Well,
Bite
thank
on
you so
most
much.
platforms.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for joining us, and I can't wait to see what other zines you make next.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye.